just going to wrap this and insulate it. And it just happens that where I'm at, I'm getting some good sunlight, which will help keep it warm too. And all this is just an insulating blanket to keep as much heat in this mash as we can. Okay, now we set the timer. Let's talk a little bit about equipment. We've got an hour, the mash is in. Good time to clean up any mess that you got, get ready for your next step, which is my converted turkey fryer pot right there, which is good enough if you're doing 3 and 4 gallon batches, but when you get up to a 5 gallon batch, it's pretty tight getting everything in it. All the pieces, parts, I was able to find at Home Depot or plumbing shops, but the turkey fryer was a real find. I used the base under the kegel, and the pot came in. One day I was at Home Depot, and I just happened to look up on the shelf, and there was a turkey fryer that looked used. I pulled it down, sure enough, it had been used. So I walked up and said, hey, somebody bring this back or something? They said, no, that was one that we used at Thanksgiving. So I got a $60 turkey fryer for 25 bucks, and works like a charm. So I went ahead and made sight glass fittings for it, put a spigot on it, a valve, and I used that actually in my extract brewing. This is my first grain brew, all grain brew, and I have to thank O'Shea's for that, because they were instrumental in helping me kind of understand the process and what I was getting into, and between them and just absolutely scouring the internet for every piece of information I could find and how everybody else was doing it, I kind of came up with what would work for me. And I got this keg off of Craigslist for 20 bucks and added the sight glass to it, which is nothing more than the high temp siphoning tubes that you use for bottling wand, and cut it to fit. It's compression fittings on the end, brass, and then just patiently kept adding graduation marks as you add a quart at a time to get my quantity lines, and discovered that my thermometer would fit nicely in through another brass fitting. Now I picked up the stainless valve from O'Shea's, and a lot of the tubing and things that I got from there. The stainless valve was about 15 bucks. The cooler, the mash tun that you saw under there, I got at a garage sale for $1 because one of the handles was missing on one end. Other than that, some CPVC and some hot glue, and drilled some holes and made a sparge bar and made the drain at the bottom. $6 worth of utility mesh from Joann Fabrics, and I was able to sew up the liner for it so that all I got to do is pick up that liner and I can get all my grain out when I'm all done with it. Makes it a lot easier to clean up. Then I picked up 2 or 3 of these bottles and did the same thing. Added a quart at a time, made my gallon marks on them. But I like these. I got at a water store. Instead of your typical carboy, these have a big lid on the top, which actually enables you to get your whole hand in it for cleaning. Whoop, there we go. To get your whole hand in it for cleaning. Much better than the little neck carboys that you can find everywhere. And it takes a brush to clean them. And it came with a spigot. It came just like it sets right there for $13. And I picked up a couple really clean, nice new buckets from Home Depot for $3. I got a couple of them. There's my sanitizer. Got my Star San, which is an ounce per 5-gallon bucket. And still got my stuff in there. You can't see it very well, but it's still in there soaking. I take it out when I need it, put it back when I'm done. My yeast is hanging in there. It's all completely reconstituted. Then in terms of chilling the wort, once we go to a boil, I saw people were making these, and I bought a 50-foot hose for $9. There's the rest of it that I use for the discharge, and then a 20-foot coil of soft copper, a few half-inch PVC fittings, and a couple brass fittings for compression on the end. The whole thing cost me about $35 between the copper and the hose and the fittings. But I put in almost boiling water to test it, turned the water on, and the water came out the end. It was absolutely cold. It is just the most phenomenal device there is for getting your wort chilled quickly, really quickly. So that's my setup. Real simple and really done on the cheap. Little thermometer that I had for other purposes, and it works really good for checking temperatures quickly, for also checking your thermometers just to make sure they're calibrated right and you're getting the same readings. When you get the same readings, you can pretty well trust that that is the temperature. So from there, we'll pick up in a little bit when my hour's up, and we're ready to start draining the mash tun and sparging.